Why you should stay single in your 20s. The pressure to find a partner, move in, get married, and settle down is all too real when you're in your 20s. It's the underwritten storyline we've been told since we were toddlers that we should be married by 30 and ready to bear children. But really, you should be staying single in your 20s, and here's why. You're actually still a teenager, at least your brain is. Firstly, there's a biological reason you should hold off rushing into a relationship that follows the usual relationship escalator of perfect family life. Research tells us that our brains aren't fully developed until the age of 25. You're not a fully grown adult until your mid-20s thanks to your prefrontal cortex, the rational, logical part of your brain. Before that, your reactions are being run by the emotional, literally reactive part of your brain, the amygdala, and is the distinct difference between an adult brain and a teen brain. That's right, you're operating from your teen brain center until around the age of 25. Would you trust the teen version of you to make big decisions about relationships, marriage, and maybe even children? We operate from a completely different place until that age, so waiting until we've developed that area might help us in the long term. You know nothing in your 20s. Secondly, and running alongside this, with age comes experiences. If you went to university, the reality is that you haven't really lived as an adult at all in your 20s. The earliest chance you get to be independent of a timetable or education is 21. To think that we would have to know what we want and be able to get it within the 9 years beyond this seems like a rush. We haven't even started. We've been experiencing life in the bubble of school and university for 16 years. We know little about the big wide world and what it's really like. We're learning to shift from constant external validation of praise from our teachers and parents, of doing well in exams and getting GCSEs and A levels, to entering the 9-to-5 world of working, which seems pretty endless. Whilst we might want to strive to have a relationship as part of our lives then, there is a whole lot of normal life to experience, let alone all the interesting things in the world there are to learn about and explore before we settle into family life. Staying single in your 20s is all about opportunity. Staying single in your 20s should be seen as an opportunity. Without the pressure and stress of a relationship, because we know the reality is not all sunshine and daisies, we get the chance to find ourselves. It's incredibly cliche to say it, but it's true. This is the time for trying things out, from jobs to hobbies to living arrangements. It's about discovering what matters most to you without any prescription of school constraints, your parents, or other social circles. And this isn't something that once you find it, you're stuck with. It continues on for the rest of your life and changes as your life changes. But your 20s offer the freedom to go out there and do it, so the results are exponential in unlocking who you truly are and what you value most. And if you get that right, the decisions you make later are going to be more aligned with you. Your 20s are for figuring it out and making all the mistakes along the way. I did what you were supposed to do and followed that storyline of partner, house, pets, good jobs, and marriage. But the reality was I was doing what I thought would lead to happiness, and I didn't really know who I was, what I stood for, and what was most important to me. It's an easy path to fall into, but it makes me wonder that if this alternative were more commonly shared and promoted, that maybe I and many other people may not rush to secure a relationship, but instead take our time to work it all out instead. With the pressure off, the freedom to choice and internal validation being encouraged, we'd make less drastic mistakes. Our 20s are meant to be full of mistakes because it's the point at which we know least, even though we think we know the most. By this point, we've been lulled into a false sense of security without a bachelor's degree in our hand being waved about, preceded by the GCSEs and A levels we have lined up. We really do think we have it sussed. Unfortunately, the real world is different from school and university. It's real, it's messy, and not everyone does as they're told or as you'd expect them to. You're dealing with work, people, and yourself at any given moment, and it's so full of errors, misjudgments, and mistakes. Not to forget, we're still reacting with our emotions early on, so we don't always take a minute to breathe before our colleague makes that blunt comment towards us that gets our backs up. You find out who your true friends are. As well as getting to know yourself, remaining single in your 20s means you have time to work on the other relationships and connections in your life. This is the time to solidify your friends network. You may be lucky and have a strong group of friends from high school that have survived the university gap, or you might have swapped a few people out and have a mix of friends from school and university. But as everyone's lives start to diverge in terms of work and living arrangements, here's where you see who makes it through the next 10 years with you. You get the chance to go away on holiday with these single friends, to have experiences with one another and be there for each other when times get tough. Every year you're not spending in a relationship is another year securing the friendships that support you outside of any future relationship you'll be in. And there is nothing more powerful than someone who has a choice to be in a relationship or not because he doesn't need a partner to validate him. Staying single in your 20s isn't easy. Being single in your 20s isn't an easy gig though. If everyone around you is following the path, then there's the potential feelings of FOMO that will arise as you don't follow the same strategy. And even if your friends aren't fussed about family and relationships either, you can bet that the older generations have your pathway predetermined for you, and so the conversations they have with you and comments they make will imply you should be out securing your Mr. Right. It takes some courage to deal with the comments, especially when you've heard them multiple times and the person you're talking to doesn't seem to approve of your decision or believe that that's what you truly want. But more and more people out there are learning to celebrate their single life. It's exactly what we do over in the Single Girls Club on a regular basis, and having a group you can come to for support like this is what helps you get through the times when the expectations feel like they're on top of you. Staying single in your 20s is true freedom. If you've missed the boat on this because you're in your late 20s or even in your 30s or 40s, it isn't too late to start. It's important to note that this sense of freedom and finding yourself is a key period of your life, and if you've missed it, it's time to do it. Commit to some time away from being in a relationship and in fact dating. Live a more carefree life, try new things, go to new places, and make your friendships the strongest relationships in your life. And once you've got your single life sorted, then you can see what partner deserves to fit into your life.